Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Salon for All and Voice for All Network Television. I am your host, Khadija Tijan Nabi, a wonderful household name where we all they refer to as a barrister, solicitor, Mr. Ady Macauley Day with we tonight, and where it will come and answer some wonderful critical questions then for the benefit of the masses. So I hope that I will do my very best on behalf of the entire Sierra Leone population for ask this fine gentleman questions them where many of we go be curious as to wanting to know what the answers are. Once again, welcome to Salon for All and Voice for All Network Television. I am your host, Khadija Tijanabi. Please help we share far and wide, and we come back and land to we today exclusive interview. We come right back, and I thank you. Welcome to Salon for All and Voice for All Network Television.
I praise you, tell you thank you now.
You never leave me, you never forsake me.
All the things you do for me, tell you thank you now.
Even when the times get hard, but you still stand by me.
Jehovah, tell you thank you, me them no dey pan me when the way don't die. Papa, I dey tell you thank you. The goodness and mercy they follow me every day. If not to you, I will cry out for them. Still alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm still alive, yes alive, I'm still alive, I'm alive, I'm still alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, still alive.
Just sync up. I no catch Ebola, but I catch Corona. I no know the owner, but by now you know now. Say the short term no more way it got to me. Pain and low way it pass for me. Doctors and nurses never scatter we. If you know to God in power, if you don't batter we. 6 feet below ground, so get dust per we. But I tell God, thank you for me life. Thank you for me wife. Thank you for the people that way put in my life. The motor car bang me and not die. Kidney fail me and not die. Corona hold me and not die. The Lord way I deserve it, they are.
Jehovah, I tell you thank you. Me them no dey pan me when the way don't die. Papa, I dey tell you thank you. The goodness and mercy they follow me every day. If not to you, I will cry out for them. Still alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm still alive, yes alive, I'm still alive, I'm alive, I'm still alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, still alive.
I'm a testifier, the only Papa God where the glorifier. For the life for the give me in this dunya. The showers a blessing where they drop on my body every night and day. I just say go higher. I dey eat some macolo. Plenty money in my pocket, I dey swan go long. Then me say I not go better. Hey, you keep taking. I come up on the poop poop poop. Thank you Lord, you don't do one for me. I'm not better but the one where they not much worry. Ebola and Corona don't come, but you still cover me. Baba make I don't say you thank you.
Jehovah, I tell you thank you. Me them no dey pan me when the way don't die. Papa, I dey tell you thank you. The goodness and mercy they follow me every day. If not to you, I will cry out for them. Still alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm still alive, yes alive, I'm still alive,
I'm alive, I'm a survivor. Yeah,
I'm alive,
with your mom,
Whether you're not Christian or Muslim, we all get permits. Papa God one fine day. Corona now that same number. In you carry me antigo, you carry me padigo. Hey bro, if not for the love of Jesus Christ, eh? Oh. mommy blessing, eh. Oh, una fobi don't bury me. Oh, oh, oh.
Jehovah, I tell you thank you. The them not there pan the wonder way done die. Papa, I dey tell you thank you. The goodness of mercy they follow me every day. If not for you, I would say I'm for dead. Still alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm still alive. Yes, alive. I'm still alive, I'm alive, I'm still alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, still alive.
Hey, from all the troubles that the world we don't coming and going, all the yicky take away don't send many good on. I'm still standing. Oh, Papa, now you. Hey, from all the natural disaster and all the illness, you keep me safe and you render me with goodness. I'm here standing. Papa, now you. Papa, now you. I thank you for the guidance, protection you set me through. Papa, now you.
Jehovah, I tell you thank you. The them not there pan the wonder way done die. Papa, I dey tell you thank you. The goodness of mercy they follow me every day. If not for you, I would say I'm for dead. Still alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm still alive. Yes, alive. I'm still alive, I'm alive, I'm still alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, still alive.
Jesenko, still alive.
Welcome back to Salon for All and Voice for All Network Television. I am your host, Khadija Tijan Nabi. Once again, we get to the wonderful Mr. Ady Macauley. Kindly welcome, sir, to Salon for All. Thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule for honor with invitation. Please take this opportunity. For the few we don't know this beautiful name or the household name, Mr. Ady Macauley, please kindly come and introduce yourself, and also if you can give brief background of you as an individual and your career path. Welcome once again, sir.
Okay, good evening, Khadija, and good evening, everybody, whosoever you there. Me na Ady Macauley. I'm a barrister and solicitor of the Superior Court of Judicature of Sierra Leone, and me na the Commissioner of the Anti-Corruption Commission. I can always say this because I was not properly removed from office. The time we term they done office could be on the 4th day of April 2021. Until then, now me na the Commissioner and somebody else did it where they carry out the functions of the Commissioner of the Anti-Corruption Commission. Me na a barrister and solicitor of at least 16 years standing, meaning that I don't be lawyer for over 16 years. I do my law degree in England, University of London, and I also do the bar in England at the Inns of Court School of Law. Then I get called to the Bar of England and Wales at the Honourable Society of the Inner Temple, and that was in 2003. 2003, I go back in a salon, enroll in a law school, qualify as a barrister in Sierra Leone in 2004, and get called to the Bar of Sierra Leone as well. And yes, I'm also a master's holder in anti-corruption, international anti-corruption studies from the International Anti-Corruption Academy, Vienna. So I've been in private practice, mostly dealing in corporate and commercial law, then therefore come later, start for practice in crime, prosecute for the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces, court martial, and also defend there as well. Then immediately after that, I come and begin work for the Anti-Corruption Commission sometime in 2010, and up till 2016 April, I was a prosecutor. I rose to the rank of Chief of Prosecution, after which, the former president, Dr. Anes Bai Kroma, appointed me as Commissioner of the Anti-Corruption Commission. And yes, since where I was forcibly ejected from the office of the Anti-Corruption Commission. I don't mostly engage in civil liberties and constitutional right issues. As many people know, I don't take up on quite a lot of cases that I believe say the advantage don't work in the country, and then people that they not either get somebody ready for take up the case, or they don't get the money for pay somebody for take up the case. So I don't always come in and take up the case that they become. I believe say my responsibility as a Sierra Leonean for make sure say the rule of law is held supreme in the country, and that is something that I will die for.
Excellent, sir. One go attest that your credential is very much appealing, and one that is admirable, and one that stands to be as an example for that young Pekin within a Congo markets where still get hope say he can make it to another Mr. Ady Macauley. Thank you so much for that wonderful background. Now, many go wonder as per your submission, you were unfortunately forcefully removed. If you can just give a brief background on that. So what actually happened where they may forcefully remove you, even though you still stand in that capacity until 2021 as per your submission. Thank you.
Well, I'm not keen like for discuss that issue there, but I will just tell people they say obviously there was a change of government in April 2018, and as we know, I was asked or threatened to resign. I refused to resign, and I was asked to go and leave. I said I go one day, I can meet na me table, let us say I for proceed on leave because they want to do some structural adjustment at the office. Well, obviously, in as much as the president will get the authority for do that one day, but I will not challenge him, so I proceeded on leave. And a few days later, I also received a letter say they don't sack me. And as I say again, in as much as I believe say the president in authority not be reach the point where if for able for sack me, as I say, I'm going for challenge a government. So stop for going to the office. And I have maintained since then that, the only way where I can be removed if they're able to set up a panel we make up of at least 2 Court of Appeal judges and a chairman, we go sit down and look at stated reasons of misconduct or inability for maker carry out the functions of the office due to impairment of body or mind. And even if that commission they don't sit down and reach the conclusion, say therefore remove me, that decision that they get for send and go to parliament, they report. Say whatever recommendation they make, they get for send and parliament, and parliament get for table them, then debate them, and they get for get a 2/3 majority vote of members of parliament for remove me at the office where they all that not be take place. So which is why I continue for maintain say I am still the commissioner of the Anti-Corruption Commission, even though there is someone there carrying out the functions of the Anti-Corruption Commission commissioner.
Thank you so much for the detailed submission. As per your submission as well, you sound like a gentleman who care for the rules and the law, as it has been prescribed through a constitution, which I want you go into detail today, because many believe that Sierra Leoneans them are being disadvantaged when it comes to the 1965 Public Order Act. So I want to go into the detail of that. I want you tell we about we right as Sierra Leonean, what is we favor and what is more at we disadvantage, and how do you believe that we can come and change things around that is not more in our favor as Sierra Leonean. Come on in back, sir.
Okay. When you look at the history of the Public Order Act of 1965, the reason behind them was very much political. We had an authoritarian prime minister by the name of Sir Albert Magai, as the history they tell we, that if you want for muzzle in political opponent them. So the only way you can do them is now for bring can laws that way they enable you for carry out the repressions than they. So hence the enactment of the 1965 Public Order Act. And when you watch it mostly, it has been a political tool for almost each and every government we don't come na office, na Sierra Leone, they don't use them for lock up people where they not like, for lock up people where stand up to them and say, look, what you're doing is not right. For lock up people away basically threaten their very existence as politicians in the offices they will hold. So it has not been a surprise that previous, past, and current governments do effectively use the Public Order Act for effectively silent opponent them.
Wonderful. So, given the obvious that all previous, current, and let's hope that the future will not be in that category, being that they don't, unfortunately, don't abuse this act in their interest, what will be your suggestion for the future administration, because government stays the same but administration change? What will be your suggestion for as to how they go do right by Sierra Leoneans?
First of all, this brings me down to the issue of the making of laws and policies in our country. You know, when you make laws and policies, don't just think about today. We might get somebody in our office where is a perfect and decent human being who will comply with the provisions of the law. But probably when that person did not left now that particular office, whether be it head of an institution, whether be it the office of the presidency, you will get somebody new who will come where basically might not be as adherent to the principles of democracy and rule of law as the previous one. So he can abuse them. So which is why I say anytime they make law will not make any law where they give any opportunity to anybody for become a dictator, because the person where they make that law he might not use them to the disadvantage of the people of Sierra Leone, but future leaders or heads of parastatals, they will come and abuse them to the disadvantage of Sierra Leoneans. So basically, the constitution of Sierra Leone reigns supreme. I know say there has been quite a lot of criticism of the inadequacies of the 1991 constitution. Of course, there is not a perfect document. Each and every document get areas the way they say if there is a lacuna here, meaning that there's a loophole here where somebody can exploit. I mean, for me, a constitution now a living document, a document where not just for one generation, a document where therefore stand the test of time. And as you can see from the United States of America, we get one of the oldest constitution in the world. They don't go up to the 26th or 27th amendments or even beyond that. This will tell you say a constitution evolve in time, a document where as they get along, certain things that they will be acceptable yesterday to the people that will write the constitution. Today, it's not acceptable to the people that with that constitution they govern. So as a result, you go amend that constitution for able to fit into present day realities. So basically, this is what constitution and the rule of law are about. But again, the Sierra Leone constitution, the 1991 constitution, are very good and perfect documents, notwithstanding few of the issues the way people don't cry over. The problem we get in Sierra Leone is the ability of we leaders, past and present, for adhere to that very document we even make them precedent. You know, until we get a judiciary way independent, where if I believe say something they go wrong, where I believe say the constitution has been breached, I go on a court for go get an interpretation of that particular section of the constitution where I believe say the government of the day or an institutions of government they infringe on. Take for example the United States of America. You see how fast the challenges to the elections, then the presidential elections, then go. You file case today, in the next 2 or 3 days, it don't come up. I mean, as I sit here, I am one of the co-counsel and 2 or 3 cases they were already don't file in Supreme Court. One get to do with the commissions of inquiry. Another one get to do with the petitions regarding the removal of the 10 APC members of parliament. We defend people and the commissions of inquiry, not actually challenge the legality of the commission. There was nothing wrong with the legality of the commission. The Constitution say, section 147 to 149, say if the president feels a circumstance do arise where they for set up a commission of inquiry, you perfectly get the right for them, and at that president you do, because he believes say circumstances do arise where warrant the setting up of a commission of inquiry. Who side they go wrong? Now the refusal of the government for make sure say we get to rules we go regulate the practice and procedure of the commissions of inquiries that the way they set up. You know, section 150 of the Constitution say the rules of court committee now for set up their rules today. Basically, that their rules today are the engine of the commissions of inquiry. The commissions of inquiry themselves not just the carcass, the body of the vehicle. If the vehicle not get engine, when are the rules regulating the practice and procedure, then you don't go move. So basically, the government set up a commission of inquiry, refused for bringing rules and regulations as per section 150 of the Constitution, and force on the persons of interest an arbitrary system where the very people when are the judges then and then they set the rules them where they for go by. And I believe that was completely wrong. And anything where you found where the foundation of is illegal, then everything else with them is illegal. So for me, I continue for saying that the commissions of inquiry not be get the functional competence for investigate, persons of interest without the rules of the rules regulating the practice and procedure of the commission. So as a result, it is my legal opinion that the report is null and void, and everything else will come after the report continue for being null and void. And we don't file several appeals them, and those are then two the way I don't talk about now, just 2 of the grounds of appeal. Then we will put now a notice of appeal.
So, having said that, many go one question as to where where is the Bar Association? Did they stand up in line with you when this concern come in place? What have they been doing for make sure say the rules or the law set forth by the Constitution is still respected? What thing they don't do in that department for make sure say the right procedure will follow prior to completing the what is it called, the inquiry, commission of inquiry?
Of course, as you know, the Bar Association every year they get a conference, and during that conference they do elections. Therefore, get a new executive or continue with the old executive. At the time when the issue of the rules regulating the practice and procedure of the commissions then came up, it was during the presidency of Barrister Michael, and kudos to her. He himself say the Constitution is being violated here. He and several other lawyers then come together, including Augustine Sorisengbe Maya, and file a challenge to the functional competence of the commissions of inquiry. In addition to waiting, Dr. Samuel Kamara and Alfred Paulo Conte don't file now the Supreme Court for challenge the functional competence. So the Bar Association came in very handy at the time for help the general public, including persons of interest, for saying, look, we are not against the commissions of inquiry. Anything we get for do with persons that we don't hold public office for be accountable now, something what we all support, because at the end of the day, it is a privilege, Khadija, for make out of 7 point something million Sierra Leoneans away then at the country. they elect you as president. Out of the same number of people away in the country, the president look you and make you minister. It's a privilege, and every privilege comes with an obligation. So that obligation now for tell the people of Sierra Leone for bring yourself forth to the people of Sierra Leone and be accountable, and answer to the stewardship of you tenure in office or whatever office you be the head. And I believe say it was not a wrong move for a commission of inquiry. It's a process of accountability, and anything we get for do with accountability in public office, that's something we they support. But in as much as we they try to hold people that are accountable, let us do it in the right way. Don't follow the law. If they come, they basically breach the law, violate the law, for go hold somebody else for something where you believe say violate the law, you end that person, I don't know what that was. So basically, that is my opinion.
Well stated. You made some salient points there, and love the fact that you say every privilege comes with a responsibility. How much do you think that people of sensitive position or we hold prestige position take that specific line there where you make and put her into consideration and serve the people of Sierra Leone with the fairness of God from your own point of view?
Khadija, make no mistake, Sierra Leone has a corruption problem, and not to today it begin. It all starts from independence. We don't hear about commissions of inquiry, Nyoku beds, all sorts of commissions of inquiry. Audit service don't come 2014, a very, energized, empowered audit service. And, I want to take this opportunity for say kudos to Lyra Taylor Pierce. She has, under very difficult circumstances over the years, ensure say a mandate where it get as per the Constitution section 119 of the Constitution sub 1, and also under the Audit Service Act of 2014. It carry out the functions without fear or favor and without being under the direction or control of any person or authority. So we continue for pray for Amek, God guide them, because corruption until we defend back. While she did defend corruption, you always come back for faith. I have been, in the position where I fought corruption as a prosecutor and as head of the institution, and I know how difficult it can become. You become a very lonely person because you don't get body. By virtue of the work you do, you don't want to open yourself to people and for fear of conflict of interest. Even the perception of it, you don't even need to forget actual conflict of interest. Even the perception of it, people don't forget about you. So which is why you are somebody way for be of particular, probity, and you for create the environment where they make you there above suspicion.
Thank you, sir. Now, now we go back to the 1965 Public Order Act, and when we talk about the seditious libel law, we also fall under that act. Now we talk about it. Recently, many Sierra Leoneans been jubilate, or then they celebrate, say, they don't pull that part day of the law, and people then go feel free for express themselves freely, and the list goes on. So why don't we address the freedom, the word freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of to belong, and the list goes on. Now we talk first about this act where they put and the one where they replace with that existing one, the one when they exist prior to this one where they remove. And then secondly, do you think say there's much different? And do you also believe that Sierra Leoneans are free as the Constitution allowed them for say, them for gets that freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and the list goes on, sir? Come on in.
Sierra Leoneans them not ever get the freedoms them, whether not freedom of speech, freedom of association, and all the other freedoms they as contemplated under chapter 3 of the 1991 Constitution. As I say, I will start with the seditious libel we don't talk about. It is in part 5 of the Public Order Act of 1965, which is now repealed. But it is interesting to note that we get one judge where every student of law can always quote, because na person will be very fair person, equitable person. They get quite a lot of wisdom. When you say usually they get government, they give civil liberties in one hand and they take her with the other hand.
Yes.
Which are basically the talk about now. You get each and every government don't come and promise the repeal of the seditious libel law, and the government of President Madabio don't come and repeal part 4. And you get for give praise where praise due, and I commend them for having the fortitude for say I will come and take away the seditious libel provisions them now the Public Order Act way in a way restrict journalists and other people them for come out and hold public officers accountable in office. I mean, I must say that he did well in that regard, and kudos to him. But again, I go back to the quote where I quote Lord Denning, where he say government they can give civil liberties with one hand and then take with the other hand. You give with right hand or you take out with left hand. When you go back to the repeal, maybe they're expecting that the whole of the Public Order Act you they repeal, because when you take away part 4 where they deal with seditious libel, it's all good and well, but you still get surviving sections of the Public Order Act where basically you they use them for achieve the same ends them where you for achieve if na part 4 of the Public Order actually get for do with sedition you they deal with. Take for example, you look at section 2 of the Act, section 2, section 3, where they talk about public insult and provocation, and section 3 they talk about insulting conduct. I mean, if you grab today, you journalist, write now your paper and say so and so person way occupy so and so position, a lie man, or any other activist come and say a lie man because of this. In fact, that man is an active man. Even though they don't take away part 4, they can still come after you under section 2, section 3. Because basically for tell that person say na lie man, na thief man, na public, it's a public insult or na insulting conduct. So it doesn't make a difference whether you take away part 5 if you don't take away the whole of the Public Order Act. So I will urge the government that since they don't begin for take away the certain provisions of the Public Order Act, they go further and just repeal the whole Public Order Act, where, in my opinion, not consistent with democratic principles and the spirit of the 1991 Constitution.
Thank you, sir. So many go wonder, will Sierra Leone ever get the quote-unquote Moses? Meaning, when many Sierra Leoneans believe that during the time when in the campaign, the manifesto can be very promising, very appealing to Sierra Leoneans, but for match and connect the manifesto to the reality of waiting Sierra Leoneans think it can get, it can be two different things. Do you think that Sierra Leone will ever get a Moses? And also, what you believe say, because for the one promise through manifesto, something where it can be more for appealing to Sierra Leonean, or something where it can seem to be, oh wow, this is the right candidate, but then when they come, it can be a different thing. What's in your opinion? So this is more like from your point of view.
Khadija, there are many Moseses that now within salon. The Moses they within a salon, they boku. Now just that them Moses they did not get the opportunity for occupy certain political offices. You know, when you look at we political structure, it is patriarchal, tribalistic, regionalistic, and very much limiting the opportunities of people that will not belong to a certain category or class for able to thrive in politics. Take, for example, women have been yearning. We don't see countries them like Malawi. We don't see countries like Liberia. They all don't get woman president. Them. Not even a vice president we don't get as a woman because we political culture not still they give women in the space for able for thrive there. And it is something which I believe say we for don't go past because as a nation of 51 years, Sierra Leone is a very civilized nation. But we political ambience, the environment not consistent with the civilization we say we get. You know, it's people thought it was impossible for make you get a black majority rule. Nah, South Africa. People thought it was impossible for get a black president. Nah, America. Today we get a black vice president, woman elect vice president. So the possibilities are always there. And now for make we as a people able for reach that point where we they say, look, you know, what we not able for account for the 60 odd years we don't gain independence for. I mean, Rwanda came out of a war within 20 years. You see the massive development we don't take place. Not just because the politicians they say they're ready for work. Now the people of Rwanda come together collectively and say, you know what, I believe say we want to put tribal politics, we want to put repression, we want to put all sorts of things that we an anti-development attitude behind we and move our country forward. So what this means is when you go to the ballot booth for go deposit your ballot paper for a presidential, parliamentary, or local council election, not go vote for that person there because that person there will not come out from the same tribe. Not to that they get for put food on your table. Not go vote for that person there because that person will not come on at the same region. Not to that they put food on your table. Not go vote for that person there because that person there now you paddy or you sabiam. Not to that they get for put food on your table. What you get for put food on your table, now the character of the person we you elect in a particular public office, whether or not that person will get integrity, we're capable for uphold the values of the office where they aspire for hold. But then they consistently we don't fail for them. Take for example the two dominant political parties in Sierra Leone. It is no secret that those two parties are dominated by certain tribes. Unfortunately for some of we come on a minority tribes them, now we are the people and where they suffer because any one part the particular governments the way they come, una know they get what you are supposed to get in the national cake because you don't have a voice. You are a minority in the midst of a majority tribe in a particular political party. I believe say these are things that we for don't put behind we. And if we able for put them things here behind we, then I believe say as a nation we can move forward. And also not to just politics is limited to limited in every sphere of life necessarily. Take for example, when you do corruption perception surveys by the Anti-Corruption Commission, the 10 what they did. When you get an APC government in office, you do a corruption perception survey. It is always the case that the result where they get from the north is different from the result where they get from the south. Now, during the APC government, the southeast, the opinion is that 60 to 70% of the opinion of the southeasterners was that, oh, government is corrupt. Now you get an SLPP government. things not change at all. Now just a government change because they get the same audit reports they would only get for the past 10, 11, 13 years. In fact, the one they would get now was past the previous one. It look like say every year the people that within a public office they make a duty say next year and they misbehave past last year. So things do not change. The narrative about corruption not change. Now government don't change. Suddenly, people of the southeast believe say corruption don't reduce now the country. Even though you get empirical evidence like the COVID audit report, the 2019, 2018 audit report, even the case the way anti-corruption they deal with, where they deal with ministers and heads of MDS, the way still engage in corruption. Now the North, when we say corruption not be there necessarily, all of a sudden they say don't can now say corruption not pass back. Well, nothing not don't change from what be there from. Now just the government and political party change. So this is the point. We all get for put behind this tribal slanting in we politics for make sure say we put salon before and move our forward for we safe and we picking and grand picking them.
Well stated. Wonderful. I think, say, as I listen to you, I smile on behalf of the, I will, let's say, hypothetically speaking, 3 million women in Sierra Leone. When you talk about, obviously, women empowerment, it brings to mind the beautiful quote of Desmond Tutu, where he suggests that if we're going to see real development, we are to invest power women. But you speaking on from that point of view, right? So let's just say out of 7 million population, let's say 4 million now the we stronger sex, right? You speaking, let's just say you speak now on behalf of them. How many of that 4 million will think like how you think, say, if we empower the woman them, or we give them the chance to, or they should also feel equally as that of the position then we demand they don't get? How many percentage, hypothetically speaking, out of that 4 million where you think, say, go think like a you or believe what you believe?
Well, change of opinion, whether about sex discrimination, whether about religious discrimination or race discrimination. Now something when I progressive something, and I believe say now the only thing where they make we improve on na education. Khadija, I can tell you I was raised by a single mother, and I know how that single mother did team up like Papa na my life, and I have no doubt anything where man can do, woman can do it. So I don't work with women there. They are very strong people. I mean, take for example, one person we always make an example now, lawyer where I say, come out. When were they amongst we the men them, in all the cases how would you go up and down? They even notice say there is a woman amongst you because she takes leadership role in una discussions the one that they get. And they talk like any other lawyer, they talk like a woman lawyer, they talk like a lawyer. So basically for me, it's about competence. If you are competent, then you are capable.
So do you believe that, like how you say, education play a significant role in terms of how we they think and process? Because another individual will look and say, because I get sick, so now just bring myself to the equation for a minute. Somebody make a comment, say, oh, the woman, they are so safe, like it's in a way that they are not good enough for even encourage them for not and get too close to as that's the same role as a male. Do you think that education or we environment have a lot to do with how we look at things?
Oh, definitely education get to do with 100%. And when I talk about education, it is not Western education. I talk about civic education. I talk about cultural education because we get cultures that will limit the role of women in society. Certain areas that they not the country where they get a woman for become a paramount chief. Because of you get for belong to a certain male-dominated secret society for make you eligible for be a paramount chief. So all these are limiting factors. But again, it go beyond the school. It get for deal with the home. It get for deal with the religious bodies, where we all affiliated to. It get for deal with generally society. When woman come for contest for, say, a political party symbol for member of parliament, all sorts of things will be said about that particular woman. Things that are unbecoming of anybody. They would talk dirty about that particular woman, but they're not going to do unto a male counterpart. You see, so these are the limiting. But we don't get people like Caddy Davis, and I'm glad if we see two women constituency 110 slug them out on 3 different occasions for the parliamentary seat for that particular constituency. And I will tell you, both these women are very strong women. I mean, Josephine Jackson of the SLPP, now you I know personally because I sit on a class with her for 2 years with 6th form at the Albert Academy. She is someone of a very strong personality. So then don't show say waiting man can do, woman self can do. So I believe so we get for give women they need to roll now we governance space. And I will tell you something, research don't show say women are less corrupt than men. And if that is the case, so why would not go hand over the country to women?
Beautiful, beautiful. Kudos to you. Yes, it takes a strong man and strong personality for think in that way. Kudos to you, sir. So now we talk a little bit about the parliamentarians, then the roles. And also you kind of like touch it a little bit when you've been referred to yourself as to the steps necessary to take, when necessary for then take you out of your assigned position. So waiting for the layman, that mommy when they work in a Congo market, how you go put on for they understand the roles and the responsibility as parliamentarians to Sierra Leone and Sierra Leoneans?
Well, let we go back to the political theory or principle of separation of powers, where you get 3 arms of government. You get the legislature, you get the executive, you get the judiciary. Basically, the judiciary, the legislature, now then the executive, now then they run the country. Then you get the legislative branch, where basically now then they make laws.
Mm-hmm. I think we're quick. Okay, you can get to
Yeah, where basically now then they make laws and hold the executive accountable. Is an oversight body. Then you come to the judiciary itself. Mm-hmm. Again, we then did it again for serve as an oversight body vis-a-vis the other 2 organs of government, that is the legislature and the executive. So basically you get them 3 separated arms here where each and every one gets checks and balances. Take for example, you get the president who gets the constitutional mandate for appointing, so I want for appoint any position. But again, with constitution, don't say yes, you the president get the right for appoint, either you get for appoint, either you want for appoint any position, as long as they qualify. But the constitution also say when you don't appoint them, you they pass them to parliament for vet, then your appointees here approve them. So if the president go and appoint somebody where basically not capable for do what the appointer for do, or we not get the integrity for hold such offices, now the responsibility of parliament for coming and say no, we know the, in as much as you get the power for appoint, we get the power for vet and approve or reject. We don't vet this person where you bring, I will not feel saying a person where capable for hold that position because of this and this, and as a result, we don't reject them. The only thing where I don't remember say parliament don't do that day now about 3 times, and the second term wey dem do, I believe say it was the term wey parliament wey the tenure of Val Collier be done wey dem be suppose for renew am. Dis na the same very parliament wey approve the man in the previous years, and when the man doing work properly and call dem say they all na corrupt people and racketeers and all of that, then can now they reject them. So it just tells you that our parliament has not done what it is supposed to be doing. I mean, when you look at the United States of America, also you get an authoritarian like President Trump. But you say the Senate and the House of Rep cut into size.
Correct.
Basically, then there's their way say they sign the defense bill. They say, okay, you know, sign now with a veto, with the override you veto. Then do certain things the way they don't force them for do or prevent them from doing. And the courts themselves, the way throughout the elections, they have behaved in a very civilized and equitable way. But we cannot say that of Sierra Leone. You get a presidential election petition, we don't come into 3 years into the tenure of this person where they challenge the presidency, we not hear him yet. So we get a parliamentary petitions. In fact, there is still one parliamentary petition who will not get a result from yet. From the last time we'll get the elections in 2018. So I did bring all the instances here for sure say Usai Parliament do it work properly. Beaucoup breaches of the constitution and the rule of law may take place. Take for example when they remove myself, Melon Nicole Wilson, the former bank governor, and several other people there improperly and illegally so. What if it don't be the duty of Parliament? And for tell the executive say you cannot violate the constitution as and when you feel like doing. So when you remove this person from office, we get a secure tenure, and you remove her without going through the proper procedure, the next person where they bring before we for approve. We not approve her because we tell you say that particular office with this man they will take, it is not vacant yet. I mean, how insulting it is to Parliament, where the law say this particular, take for example the office of the DPP, the office of the Auditor General, the office of the Ombudsman, the office of the Anti-Corruption Commissioner, the office of judges. Now Parliament gets the ultimate say by 2/3 majority. They not can do una for sack somebody where the constitution say na una for sack am. Then somebody else will not get the power for sack am. Then it come back to una with an appointee for can approve. They una go una approve am. They just the undercut even they own very authority. So again, Parliament has not done our democracy any good.
Thank you, sir. So do you believe that I get a 2-in-1 question in this one? Do you believe that it's a systemic problem? And then secondly, which I've also named the 3 branches of government: the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. With those 3, in paper is supposed to be done. They're all supposed to be effective by themselves without being influenced by any other. So with them 3, then which one do you believe that is effective as of now?
None of the above.
None of the above.
At all.
So even as that of the executive, you do not believe it.
We have a dysfunctional governance system.
Okay. Thank you. Fair enough. Now, I want to talk about the responsibility of we ONS them. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Waiting at the responsibility, or we police them as Salon.
Well, their responsibilities are quite defined in the various legislations, the way bringing them into existence, like the Police Act, the Office of National Security Act, and all of that. Basically, these are security outfits where for protect the state, including the people, not for being a repressive instrument against the very people and we therefore protect. But we don't see over the years, as I say, it not begin today. We've seen it over the years where the security forces have been, compromised in a way that they do what in the government of the day want they for do. And this is where I have always advocated. Take, for example, the Inspector General of Police. We forget our constitution. You forget a protection within the constitution of Sierra Leone, whereby will come and sack the Inspector General of Police as and when you feel like. And same goes for the Chief of Defense Staff. There has to be a secured tenure. Take, for example, the Joint Chief of Defense Staff in the United States forces, armed forces. Now, somebody will get a tenure of office. And it always happens, say, in tenure of office, they end in the middle of the presidential year. So it means, say, the possible appointment, not the day when in tenure they end at a time when not to the possible appointment, they as president are a different person. Take, for example, the person now where President Trump appointed as chairman of the Joint Chiefs, therefore get 2 more years into the Biden administration. And you go see, say, the Biden administration will come and left at this SAFU until in tenure. If they want for renew, they renew. If they don't want for renew, then bring out somebody else. There's a reason for that. Because if then people have become political, then the very little man, when are the ordinary citizen of the country, not safe.
Thank you, sir. Do Sierra Leone allow mob justice?
It's an interesting. We get laws them way even tell you say for assault anybody, even if somebody native man, you're not supposed to beat them. And you don't see now the UK and the US where somebody go boggle somebody na yours, wound them. Of course they go charge them for the thief with thief, but you said that they charge you go court for the wound them. Or so mob justice not get any not get any not get space now we society.
Okay.
Mob justice na lawlessness, if I can put it that way. So and anybody way they advocate mob justice or that kind of thing, and they now possibly will not get respect for the law, and we should discourage that. Discourage them.
Thank you. Sitting with civil society activist Mr. Abdul Fatuma, every time we would get an exclusive interview and a time for now we learn from and especially the masses. So we can't to find out, say, we not get any law where they compensate Sierra Leoneans them, as in the example, let's say somebody right was violated, in the example of mob justice, in the example of other maybe police officer or other Sierra Leonean take them upon themselves and abuse that individual without allowing the due process for how you call and take its course. How can we go about, or the Bar Association can suggest wherein we can maybe in the future get a law where go compensate any Sierra Leoneans where then go under the category of violating the human right? Is it possible? Do you have hope for that?
Quite the contrary. There are laws.
Oh, well, thank you.
Basically, they deal with compensation when your right, as guaranteed under the Constitution, have been violated.
Repeat that again, sir.
Yes, for example, under Section 17(4) of the 1991 Constitution, where they deal with protection from arbitrary arrest or detention, where they tell you, say, when you commit an offense, they're not for just arrest you like that. They for arrest you based on law, and if they arrest you, if not to anything we get for do with a capital offense, economic, environmental crimes, they're supposed for charge you to court or release you on bail within 72 hours. But again, they get up to 10 days, depending on which kind of offense you commit. But we see people like Dr. Sylvia Blyden. We see people like Alfred Paulo Conte fiancé, Aisata Sako, where they're accused of various offenses. They were held in custody without charge or bail in excess of 20 days, almost a month. And make I just read the particular provision under Section 17.4, where they deal with compensation. It says under Section 17.4, it says any person who is unlawfully arrested or detained by any other person shall be entitled to compensation thereof from that other person. So basically, it's about enforcing the provisions of the law, not that you not get law with the deal with
Wonderful.
compensation.
Great.
The laws they did, now just
Okay.
that we as lawyers not don't pursue the line of action and for make sure see people they get compensation.
All right.
And again, I understand why. Because you know, where you go, you file papers vis-a-vis unlawful detention or arrest and ask for compensation. That file might not even be assigned. So people lawyers will become very reluctant. Well, I'm not going to waste my time and all that. The one who say they're not get for assignment, they're not get for hearing, or you know, it's fiat accompli. But me always go pursue it in the law say, and that is what I've been doing. And I know say Kutubu will cost me back today because it don't promise me say it will cost me whenever I come on air for talk about issues regarding Sierra Leone. But again, I will not be discouraged from talking about what I believe is right.
Well, it's right unfortunate to hear that. I'm so sorry, and we hope that Mr. Kutubu will do right by Sierra Leonean, because you are not getting paid, but you're here for educate we and for know better. In the example of what I just asked you, that was one of the challenging questions where I present to Mr. Fatoma, and it was like even they laugh at me saying there's no such thing as compensating Sierra Leonean. So I believe say instead go learn from this. Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to come now to a name we just mentioned, retired Major Paulo incident. Simultaneously, I want also now we talk about the Pademba Road issue.
Yes.
Come on inside. So, in terms of retired Major Paulo, now just fast forward wherein they found him not to be guilty of X, Y, and Z, when I've been treason, when I've been much more higher crime. So many Sierra Leoneans then they wonder as to the crime now when they find them of when that he had a weapon in possession, or you go give me more of the detail as you were one of the lawyer we've been the representative. Many Sierra Leoneans they still wonder as to why he's still behind bar.
Okay, I just for firstly tell family when they listen and they watch, say I will be very circumspect in discussing this particular issue because it is still sub judice, which I mean is that the issue still lay before the court on appeal. We just don't argue the appeal of on behalf of Alfred Paulo Conte there about the 15th of December, the 15th of December. So I'm not going to talk about issues that we did before the court on appeal because these are things that are still sub judice. But I will go back to the treason charge we're not there before the court again.
Oh,
you know,
wonderful.
Immediately they arrest Alfred Paulo Conte. I did it with all the time from police station to Pademba Road to the time where they charge him. And when the investigators then keep coming up with the issue of treason, I'll be just only they laugh because for me, there's nothing like treason in all the factors presented, you know, by the investigations we then conduct. And then continue for talk about treason. And, you know, I continue for pushback, say, no, this is not treason. And, you know, they get, according to, you know, PW1, when MKLU say, well, now based on the advice we get from the law officers department, make it charge treason. So we go to court. And from the very first day when I start for cross-examining the very first witness, it became very clear. It became very clear to Sierra Leoneans then that there was no treason. Pure and simple. You say this man will go up step for go towards the president in wing na state house so for one he get intention for go kill the president and take over government. So we say no, that is not the case. In fact, we know take gun run go. In fact, okay, we drop gun at the reception. We get a very cordial discussion with the security officers and go to the meeting where we go. And when I get video evidence, there was a CCTV camera where they record all what they happen. You know, we can say now we local language, this Creole say blah 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 look motoka. And that was what we requested. We said, Lord, don't make this thing painful. When I get the CCTV camera, we can prove to the whole of the country whether or not which one are the accuser of Paulo Conte of his tool. Then refuse for pull up. I mean, if you're not somebody where they follow football, we get what we call video assisted referees these days. Now, na free talk with them, young man and come and watch football. Argument not in a treat again. Because VAR, they na penalty, not to penalty, they say on a player. So it was the same thing when we asked the state, say, okay, when I say this man be the one go the president in wing with a pistol for go commit treason. When I pull the video evidence where the CCTV camera in a state house record for make we watch them, they refused. And thankfully we get 12 men and women with integrity. As they ask, if they ask earlier today, say, are there, we get any Moses na Sierra Leone? Well, I would tell you, say then 12 men and women, then they're not just part of the Moses there. The many Moses they will get na the country.
Yes.
Then come and say, no, but you know, from the evidence where they present before we, there was no treason there. And you know, what it make the issue really laughable, the day when the incident happened, una allow Paulo for go house, he sleep. In fact, when he reached night was that same evening day, the police call her for can't take a weapon. They go to police for go take a weapon, but they tell her say the possible way for sign off on the authority for return the weapon to Paulo not be there. So let go come back the next day. So Paulo go back na yours. Just for make about 12 going one the following day, they invited a police, arrest them and accuse her of treason. Go show you say that decision, there was an afterthought. Somebody don't sit down and one in small corner and say, probably this is an opportunity to squeeze that man. And let's just do it. You know, and to kill a dog, you have to give it a bad name. And that was what they were doing to Alfred Paulo Conte. But again, we say thank you to those 12 men and women, upright Sierra Leoneans, and we look at the facts as they were and reach a just decision saying, no, but this man not guilty of treason. On the issue of being in possession of a pistol in a public place, of a loaded pistol in a public place, now something we did before the court and another one for discuss some.
Fair enough, understandable. Yes, when you talk about anything we go against you call them your responsibility as a lawyer. So now I want to talk about the Pademba Road incident. Some call it a massacre, some call it breakthrough, everybody else gets their own title for it. The question now is them people then they will be done with and kill, unfortunately. Sierra Leoneans they want to know that if the one that will do the killing, if they were held accountable, if we really know the true numbers, if the family members them also were informed that the family member they don't die, and if they were able to identify those individuals. Whatever you're able for answer in that area, sir, we'll be grateful.
First of all, I will call it a massacre because usually you get more than 2 or 3 people killed in cold-blooded manner way to date, we don't hold anybody accountable. It's called a massacre. And it was a bloody massacre that took place on the 29th of April 2020. Pademba Wood Prison. You know, it's a sad day in the history of the country where you get in excess of 30 people and killed in a very cold-blooded way. And up to date, not a single person they don't hold accountable. First, they said there was an attempted jailbreak. Obviously, rightly or wrongly, when you get an attempted jailbreak, like how they say, take place, there are security measures. They will already be there at Pademba Road. Of course, not just the prison officers. You also get armed OSD then. They where they give, where they back up the prison officers and for give security to the place then at Pademba Road. But again, we see a situation where they not respond in a manner we consistent with the threat we them face. I mean, how could you respond to stone throwing with bullets? I mean, this is not a situation where you get prisoners that we get gun. Not at all. We get knives. Not at all. In fact, the outer perimeter of the Pademba Road prisons was never breached. But you get a situation where they not allow the security the way Dana Pademba would for deal with the situation by using other non-lethal tools within their possession, like tear gas, tasers, and all of that. You get a whole contingent from the Presidential Guard Force come to Pademba Road, and we saw the pictures. And some of we see the videos with the firing of live ammunition against people we basically were defenseless. And it was unfortunate that there has been a massive cover-up by the state. Initially, we get the Minister of Information, Yadu Soare, in a very, square away, come and say, oh, nobody not died from there, only 2 people and die, oh, now 6 people and die, now 11 people and die. Then we take over 6 months, we're in nothing again. All of a sudden, for make the prison authorities then investigate themselves and come out with a report and give reasons then why, the riot take place. And we know he say anybody in a prison lost his work because of what happened. And let me put what happened in the context of what the law say. You get this law we then call now oral law, then call it the Coroner's Act, Chapter 9 of the laws of Sierra Leone. Make I just access them. Section 10 of that law, they say any side way you get a prisoner or somebody who get mental issues die in a mental home or psychiatric hospital or na a prison, they suppose for hold an inquest. And make I just read waiting section 10 of the Coroner's Act Cap 9 say. It said, upon the death of any prisoner or of any lunatic confined in any mental hospital, the gaoler or the keeper of any gaol, penitentiary, prison, or mental hospital in which the prisoner or lunatic dies shall immediately give notice thereof to the coroner of the district in which such death has taken place, and such coroner shall forthwith hold an inquest upon the body where death has taken place in the colony or an inquiry where death has taken place in the protectorate. So at the end of the day, we get law, we tell we say, we suppose for hold an inquest. 32 people then die under unexplained circumstances. Remember say then 32 people here. There's somebody in Pekin. There's somebody in Papa. There's somebody in brother. There's somebody in uncle.
Well stated.
Anybody who wants to make the subject your relative to that kind of way. And the sad part is we don't know the identities of the people that we die. They don't inform the relatives them. They were buried in a mass grave. In fact, waiting government tell me about 30 people that die. But rumors are abound that in fact now 67 people that die. So man is in a 100. And then we are not going to go away until we will get the fact. And it is in the interest of justice and closure for make this government bring get an independent body for looking to what happened now the Pademba Wood prisons and come out with a report where will lay bare the failings of the prisons and the security sector will lead to the death of we compatriots them. I mean, don't forget, under section 16 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone guarantee everybody the right to life, except where there is an execution of a lawful order of a court. Take, for example, Usai, there is a conviction for either treason or murder where they convict you to, where they sentence you to death. Then that is just one of the areas the way the Constitution of Sierra Leone makes say yes, you can deprive somebody of a life because it's a lawful execution of a court order. Or Usai, you say in order to effect a lawful arrest or to prevent the escape of a person lawfully detained. Take for example, if you shoot somebody when a prisoner now Pademba Wood Junction, they don't come out of the gate, they go. You shoot them. Probably this section of the Constitution will say, well, probably you are justified in doing so, provided you don't get other means other than killing them for prevent the arrest, the escape from custody. But again, nothing like that no happen. They not tell we say anyone by them people and the way they kill her outside the perimeter fence of the prison yard. Not at all. And now because of all them doubts and questions here, make the government for come out and put together an independent body for investigate the killings and then we know what happened. You know, I always they tell people and say, when you're in office, you have to be very careful. The people that were in office yesterday, today, have faced the commissions of inquiry for things which are alleged to have been done improperly when they were in office. The one they were in office back today, not for forget say, after they would have left office, they too will be subject to this sort of thing. So which is why we they say if you're in an office, behave properly, because when you don't left the office they will can't hold you accountable. And I am sure say the people that were responsible for the killing of then 30 people, prisoners, and then a Pademba Wood, forgetting at the back of their mind say, one day, in the fullness of time, they will be held accountable. We get relatives the way they are mourning their kids, their relatives. They not able to know what happened to them. They are crying, but they don't get signed for go cry. They don't get signed for go seek redress. Because the time when they go for go seek redress, now the very people that we feel they responsible, now they go to. But again, as a minute to Christian, but I believe that Ecclesiastes where say for every time there is a purpose. There's a time to die, a time to cry. I mean, basically, the point why they try to make is this: if you feel say you day beyond the law today, well, it's fine and good because probably you're in authority and nobody no go hold you. But remember, say when you left that particular office day, there will be someone else in authority where you get the right and the authority for hold you for what you do when you be in authority. So we have to be careful how we go about, carrying out the functions of state.
Thank you, sir. So now we go furthermore in regards to Madam Fatmata Sawane's submission. We compromise, many Sarah Lane go look and say compromise a handful of government officials. Why no arrest? And then secondly, now we talk simultaneously about human rights. Waiting at the provision set forth for Sierra Leoneans or on behalf of Sierra Leoneans, way for protect the right of Sierra Leoneans. You can give example, by the Constitution. Come on in, sir.
I mean, when you come now, chapter 3 of the Constitution, they basically tell you about fundamental rights and freedoms of the individual, which starts to the right to life, protection from arbitrary arrest or detention, protection of freedom of movement, protection of freedom of association, protection of from inhumane treatment, protection of property. So basically, this issue of this minister or that person government officer don't go take somebody property in hand. I mean, there are provisions in the constitution where protect everybody to forget property. Under section 21(1), he said no property of any description shall be compulsorily taken possession of, and no interest in or right over property of any description shall be compulsorily acquired, except where the following conditions are satisfied. That is to say, the taking of possession or acquisition is necessary in the interest of the defense, public safety, public order, public morality, public health, town and country planning, the development of utilization of any property in such a manner as to promote the public benefit or the public welfare of citizens of Sierra Leone. Take for example the time where they want to do that Aberdeen Bridge. When you see grammar school and school, for Musa grammar school, they should come over to Kokube. Na grammar school be all that place there. But when they want to come put a public right of way for do a bridge way for connect that island where be they to the other side of the city, of course government take them and make use of them. When I grammar school be get them, but grammar school willingly give they make that road there. So basically the point why they try to make is the constitution is there, it is not new. It is not anything where people they don't know of. It is just that thing we I begin to talk about in the opening, where I say the constitution of Sierra Leone is sufficient enough for able for make sure say we govern ourselves in a very civilized manner. Our biggest problem is not adhering to the provisions of that constitution. Every government will come, then interpret the constitution to how they feel say it suits the purpose which they want for do. And that is wrong, which is why we have the courts. And the courts have consistently failed us in that regard.
Thank you, sir. Now we talk also while we there with the human rights violations simultaneously. Now we talk about the Tombo, the Mile 91, the McKinney incident. What are your take on that? Do you think, in terms of the McKinney, did they put all necessary, did they exhaust all communication prior to taking that step? And when you look at it on a legal aspect, did they do right by Sierra Leoneans them living in that area?
Khadija, I don't even want to talk about the rights or the wrong of taking the generator away. It's a whole different discussion. Waiting me, we'll talk about Naya. Now the response of the security forces. I mean, also you get youth there with a riot, block road for make them not take their generator away. Is that sufficient for bring a whole contingent of military people with heavy weapons, including RPG, for can quell a protest by stone throwing youths? I mean, we see video where military men they shoot for kill because we see one way in company they tell us, say, look, I put her down. He points the gun towards people, then they shoot. I mean, that is criminal. It's cold-blooded murder. And again, as I say, if you are not held responsible today, in the fullness of time, you will be held responsible for it. I mean, we don't reach that point where nothing criminal, especially when it comes to human rights violation, should go unpunished. I mean, the worst you can do to anybody, not for taking life, because there is nothing that can compensate for that.
Well stated. Well stated. Waiting will be your advice to the youth of Sierra Leone, and waiting that you hope and you wish for Sierra Leone before I let you go, sir.
My advice to the youth of Sierra Leone is to be law abiding. You know, again, when the law fails to protect the people will seek to protect themselves. And I would talk to the youth of Sierra Leone that you are the future of the country, and that be law abiding as best as possible. Comply with instructions from the police and security services, because at the end of the day, now you live, 90 on the line. But again, you know, it's sometimes difficult to tell people not to react to certain things that we don't happen. You know, Khadija, a lot of advantage don't take place. So man would tell you things that we they don't do to our youths. It's difficult to basically accept that thing that they so man they don't dispossess of in property. Who say they forcibly go they pull and commode, and they use state resources again, police and military for good work. That person there forever or for the longest of time will get bitterness and anger towards the police and the military, which is why I talk directly to the Chief of Defense Staff for make sure say the military personnel there when we don't witness when they get involved in land dispute or the demolition of properties by certain state institutions. If we withdraw them come on, they know so they walk that one day. I mean, I grew up in a Sierra Leone where when we be the go school, I go St. Edward's Primary. If we see soldier man pass, we go dig then at the fella and take until we late for go school. Because it's not easy for let you see soldier man pass na treat. Let alone soldier man we all gone. But now every head of public institution as Sierra Leone not just get police with gun with the protector, you also get soldier man with gun with the protector. I mean, I don't think we're in a state of war. We for de-escalate and reduce the presence of the military in the civilian life. You know, the military are trained for two things: for render assistance to the people of the state when the need arise. Like America, you will see hurricane come, National Guard they come out. In Sierra Leone, when we get Ebola, even this corona, we get mudslide, we get floods. They see the military they come out for carrying that humanitarian help. They are trained to do that. And the other thing where they are trained to do is to kill. The military is not trained on law enforcement. No, they are trained to render humanitarian services. They are trained to kill. So when you take soldier man, you get a gun. You put live bullet inside that gun there. You say, go down. Inside them over there, the throw stone yonder. Let go take care of them. What you feel say they go do there? That gun and live bullet where you get, now they go use them. So when that soldier man go and kill, whether you feel say responsible, not just the soldier man, you will ask him for go down there also responsible. There's what we call command responsibility in human rights and war crimes situations. There's command responsibility. If soldier man, you deploy soldier man so side way, you know, for deploy me, go kill them, you will deploy them. You get for answer for your actions then. And people will surely one day answer for these human rights infractions and violations will don't take place. So my closing is this, that I hope say, as a Sierra Leonean, the new year where they can, when are just 1 or 2 hours away, that we go get that moment of self-reproach, where we go say, let us put Sierra Leone first. Let us don't think about politics. Let us take the political lens off and look at Sierra Leone as the country where we like, as the country we want to make it look like America, as the country we want to make it look like Rwanda, as the country where you want to let young people grow up and thrive as a citizen. So let us put aside the politics and let us push the business of the state forward.
Having said that, on behalf of the entire team here, one, wish you nothing but the absolute best in all your future endeavor. We pray that God will continue to bless you with more wisdom, knowledge, patience, understanding as you serve Sierra Leone and Sierra Leonean. Thank you so very much, Mr. Ady Macauley.
Thank you, Khadija and Amini Arabi.
Absolutely wonderful. And to take a break and we'll come right back. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
And I welcome back once again. We want to take this opportunity for tell Barrister Solicitor Mr. Ady Macauley plenty thank you for the time where it take for honor our invitation for come and sit down and answer critical question on behalf of Sierra Leonean STEM. Thank you once again, and we also wish all the best on this upcoming year, and we also tell in all plenty thank you we comments today, join with today for listening to this exclusive interview. As usual, may God bless we all. God bless the Republic of Sierra Leone. God bless the Republic of Sierra Leone. God bless the Republic of Sierra Leone. God bless the United States of America, United Kingdom, and everywhere where Sierra Leonean find himself as we go into 2021. May God make it be a year of fulfillment, of elevation, everything way in a good way we mean for ourselves. Everything way in a distraction, disappointment, all the negative, now we left from na 2020. Every goodness way you mean for us here on this platform, may God answer to them, and may God grant yourself the goodness. Anything way say anything less than that, may God turn into goodness and more elevation for we all. Naya on this platform. Thank you once again. Until next time, listener Salon for All and Voice for All Network Television. I am your host, Khadija Nabi. Bye. Welcome to Salon for All and Voice for All Network Television.
Slim Nation.
Love is what we need, yeah. Sierra Leonean. Love is what we need. Yeah.
We exalt the realm of the free. Great is the love we have for thee. Anytime they talk about sweets alone, no. About fetch, anytime they write but mama alone, now we fall like we self, let we push we self. Let we know it we self, let we help we self. Oh no no no, it no matter who say you there, it no matter what you know you call, it no matter what you think of. There is no place like home. It no matter who say you there, it no matter what you know you call, it no matter what you think of. There is no place like home. Mama, let we left color and push forward, push forward. And this gonna make we continue move forward. Oh 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 oh. Papa, make we left color and push forward. Hey hey yeah. It gonna make we continue move forward. No 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 no. Now the party talk about new direction. Do you make we up and build your ambition? Because now we all got for make we home. Hey, we sweet mama salon. Never say you not be seen there. Never say you not care there. Oh, yeah. See that Lord, yeah. No matter how far you go, you must come home one day. No matter how long you take, you must come home one day. It no matter who say you there, it no matter what you know you call up, it no matter what you think of. There is no place like home. It no matter who say you there, it no matter what you know you call up, it no matter what you think of. There is no place like home. Love is what we need, yeah. Brother, love is what we need, yeah, yeah.
Welcome to Salon for All and Voice for All Network Television.